here I am walking the streets of New London, Connecticut, knee deep in active addiction. The only time ever in my entire life I contemplated suicide. If you want to know something very crazy about the addiction community, when people start overdosing off of bags, the bags become more popular. I'm living proof right here that you can get healthy, you can get clean, you can live a sober life. Living a life like this is better than any type of drug you'll ever do. It could always be worse. Always. What is up, guys? Michael DeSecco back for another quick timeless talk. I hope you're having a blessed and beautiful day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this video. And we thank you for tuning in and checking out our content. We're trying to come up with ideas, new ways to gain subscribers and create some great content. My focus is always going to be on the recovery and addiction, mental health, and entrepreneurship kind of battle, struggle, strengths, weaknesses, good, bad, ugly. So Timeless Protection, my company, again, we protect vets. We are here as a group of insurance professionals who basically look out for consumers. We want to make sure that nobody is overpaying for coverage. We want to make sure that you're not in the wrong plan. People impulse buy insurance. People just fly right through it because they don't want to talk to anybody. And you're going to put the wrong policy in place 100 out of 100 times if you don't have a licensed, trusted, proven professional. So I can't tell you how much we can stress that, guys. The amount of money we save vets and consumers is ridiculous. It's a glaring issue that not too many people really care about clients and more care about their bank accounts. And that's not okay at the end of the day. So again, Timeless Talk, like, subscribe, hit the follow button, give me a Hulk Hogan leg drop, give me a off the top rope Randy Macho Man Savage elbow drop, whatever you got to do. Thank you so much for tuning in again. I want to go through something real quick. After talking to my sister and having an interview with my sister, my eyes were open to a lot of things, and it's crazy what you miss or what you forget or what you just don't care about or that just slips away and you just don't remember it when you're out here in active addiction. If you are struggling, whether it's mentally, physically, whether it is opiates, fentanyl, alcohol, whatever it is, guys, there is hope. I'm living proof right here that you can get healthy, you can get clean, you can live a sober life. And I must say that living a life like this is better than any type of drug you'll ever do. But it takes time, patience, and the good old W word, willingness, to get here. I want to share with you guys my highest and my lowest moment in active addiction. I don't know if you can even have a high moment when you're in active addiction. You're high all the time. So it's pretty much tough to have a very high moment, but you know what I mean when I say that there's lows and highs to everything, right? I'm just like the business I am in. It's like riding a bull. One week you could be way up here. The next week you could be way down here. Day by day, up, down, all around, just like riding a bull. If you have the thick skin, if you have the patience, if you have, the knowledge of what you can do in the insurance industry to help your family financially, because the world of insurance is loaded with opportunities. Doesn't really matter what insurance you want to sell or offer or whatever to people. If you go about things the right way, you can make a very good income for your family. I'm living proof, guys. We're not anywhere close to where we want to be yet. I want to be so many levels above where we're at, but I'm patient and I'm willing to work every day to reach that goal. And I think that is important. So highest, lowest, let's start with the lowest. So I think the lowest point, at least one of the top 3 lowest point in my active addiction, was I was at a sober house. I was living at a sober house. The process when you're broke and you're on state insurance and you've got to go to detox or rehab or whatever, whether you're going yourself on your own terms or whether a probation officer is sending you or whether the court is sending you. If you have state insurance, you obviously don't have access to the nice, cushy, out in the woods type, rehabs. We went to a local spot. Everybody kind of knows this place, and those who have been in and out of like rooms or just in the addiction recovery world know that this place is not the greatest. You're kind of just a number. I'll always just say it like this, guys. If you want to get clean, you'll get clean in a cardboard box. Doesn't matter where you are. It matters that you have people like looking out for your physical health, vitals, mental health, all that stuff. But if you want to get clean, it doesn't take a rehab. Rehab's help. You just want to get clean. You have to want it. You have to want to get clean. Going through a detox without medical help is not a good idea. I talked prior in a video about opiate withdrawal, and it has a big impact on your body, your heart rate, just everything. You've got to have medical care watching you go through that. Your body is going through hell when it's withdrawing. So anyways, I was in a sober house. I had gotten a job. I have no vehicle. I had already lost 2 condos. I had lost a car, which was under my grandmother's name, which was repoed. Like, that's an awful feeling. God rest R.I.P. Nan, I love you. You know, having a repossession on your grandmother's credit, like, Jesus, man. Picked up a job at a restaurant, and I had to get, brought back and forth every day with help. And it was a restaurant that I had previously worked at. I didn't like it. Plus, they knew something was up when I got there. And just so you know, there's more drugs and alcohol usually in sober houses, which doesn't make any sense because it's a sober house. And obviously this is going to vary from sober house to sober house, community to community, whatever that looks like. But where I was, there was more drugs in the sober house than there was recovery. That's part of that vicious cycle that is addiction, is that if you're on state insurance, you're just filtered through this like tangled web of detoxes, rehabs, and houses and things like that, where you're just, again, you're congregating with, felons, drug addicts. You become part of it. I had a paycheck pending in my bank account. I had to pay money weekly to live in this sober house. At this point, I really didn't have a connection with my parents. I talked to my son. I talked to both of those guys once or twice a week. I got kicked out of my sober house on Christmas Eve. So here I am, and I sent screenshots of my bank account and the pending check. They didn't care. Like, talk about slumlords. A pending payment, holiday, banks, the whole nine. I couldn't get the slack or the okay to stay, a day or two longer so that I could give them the payment. They kicked me out. They kicked me out on Christmas Eve. So I had my life in a backpack and a plastic bag. Here I am walking the streets of New London, Connecticut as a grown-ass man, knee-deep in active addiction, in and out like, recovery, active. The only time ever in my entire life I contemplated suicide. And I know that that's a word that could be a trigger, and this stuff is so real. These feelings are real. I don't want anybody to get there. I don't want you to get there. I don't want somebody to feel so jammed up in their life that you contemplate taking yours. I literally felt like the biggest loser. I was ashamed, embarrassed, I was angry. The only thing on my mind at that point was what dealer is available on Christmas Eve, essentially. And I hope that they'll trade for gift cards. It's the worst place to be mentally when you know for a fact you can't just reach out to mom and dad. You can't reach out to your best friends. You can't reach out to your kids. You can't reach out to anybody. I could have, but I'm going to put my sister in that spot. Hey, take me in on Christmas Eve. Like, she just said yes, but I almost felt like I deserved it. Even though I had that payment pending, you hate yourself. When things are going on in your life like that, when you're in and out of sober houses and you're in and out of rehab detoxes and things like that, like, you're ashamed, especially if you come from a background where life is good, right? Life is good. Life was always good for me. Till I took that first Percocet, life was great. Walking around on Christmas Eve, I don't even remember how I got to my parents in the morning. My sister had to, pay for her own, Christmas presents. She told me to get what I wanted to get for everybody. The whole time I'm just sitting there wanting to get high. on Christmas morning. You know, I was allowed to go there, shower, put some fresh clothes on, sit in the living room for a little while. My parents would always give me the benefit of the doubt to sit around the family. I think at that point they knew that I didn't really want to be living that life. I remember I walked through the streets of New London Christmas Eve, no house, no home, nowhere to go. I contemplated calling my cousin who lived right down the road just so I could sleep there. And the fact that right now that I'm alive, I can put my feet on the ground. I have the opportunity to help others. I have the opportunity to help people protect their families with life insurance, which everybody hates the word life insurance. It needs to be called something different. Anyways, I just watched a video of a woman, 32 years old in Baltimore. Obviously, like no teeth. She's been on the streets for like 6 years. Obviously, she was like doing certain things to feed her habit, which turned into like assault a few times. This girl weighed all of probably 110 pounds, 105 pounds, maybe not even 100 pounds. And her hand was like a cartoon, like the white glove that you see in a cartoon where like there's only 4 fingers, but it's blown up. Like that's what this girl's hand looked like. It made me think that it could always be worse. And that's actually what NA rooms can do for you, because NA is a very powerful place. It is free, for one. You are surrounded by people who want to stay clean. You hear things that make your story seem like a trip to Disneyland. And I always just tell people, like, it could always be worse. Like, it could always be worse. Always. But you don't think that while you're going through it. I didn't think that as I was walking down Bank Street in New London, Connecticut on Christmas Eve. And all I can think about is my friends whom I love and, you know, sitting there with their families. Christmas Eve is a big day in my family. It's like we had a huge tradition with my grandmother. I used to look forward to Christmas Eve every year. Like I couldn't wait for it. You would never have bet in a million years, if you'd know me, that I would have been, you know, where I was, or that I ended up where I was. And that's the power of addiction. I say it all the time. Other low points, my parents obviously changing the locks on the house. That was a terrible low point. Sleeping in a Walmart parking lot for a week straight. That's a low point. Some other things that I went through that maybe necessarily weren't my low point, but were like traumatizing. Nobody wants to see death at all. I was in a sober house with this kid, and he had like 2 of the most beautiful kids ever. He was a guitarist. He was such a nice human being. And looking back, I figured it out. There was like signs. I didn't understand them or recognize them at the time. We used to do a Walmart trip every Sunday, and we would basically go pick up the things we needed and then go back to the house, get shuttled back to the house. But at Walmart, your family could come to meet you. So I remember him walking around Walmart with his kids. And then he had never cooked in the kitchen at the house, ever. I was the cook in the kitchen. I had to cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for everybody, and I had to do the food orders and all that stuff. He had never, like, gone into the kitchen. He had never cooked, whatever. And he cooks just himself a, like, really nice meal. And then he plugged in his, you know, guitar and amp and all that stuff and started strumming and playing, and it was awesome to hear. Then a couple hours went by. I had to sleep on the floor with like a torn up mattress in this room, and then there was another kid in there because we had roommates, and we were like just going to sleep, and we heard this huge thud above us. In a sober house, that's only going to mean 2 things. There's either a fist fight going on or someone slumped over and hit the ground. And sure enough, man, he picked the bathroom in the house, the one bathroom in the house that had like a very thick deadbolt. Now, this house had 30 some odd people in it, 33 people in it. So we had to get one of the big guys. Like, we tried kicking, shouldering, running into it. And I'm talking about some like decent sized guys, like trying to get this door down. And we finally got it open. And there he is, like purple, you know, lips are blue. It happened that fast. He overdosed. And this is how nasty and grimy it is when you're in that spot. Before anyone called 911, I was probably like 8 or 10 people down on the steps, just like kind of watching. Somebody called 911 right away, obviously. But before 911 got there, or before the EMTs got there, people went through the kid's pockets to look for the drugs. Like, this guy's a father, a son, probably a brother, an uncle, a friend, whatever. You have drug addicts, just like me, that could, morally make it okay to basically look for the rest of the drugs that this kid had. And if you want to know something very crazy about the addiction community, when people start overdosing off of bags, the bags become more popular because people know that it's very powerful. There was actually a kid, I believe, who put out an app. I think I saw this on a documentary like 10 years ago, where he made an app on a phone to where if overdoses were happening, people could put the bag up, because bags have these little marks on them, like all types of names, you name it. It caused more overdoses because everybody got to see where the good dope was. That didn't work as planned. It's just crazy to me that your mind can take you there. And you know what? I wasn't any better than like anyone, even the kids that just went in and took his stuff. Who am I to say anything about anybody at that point? We're all on the same level, I literally could flip through my phone right now and I could find you a ton of dead contacts. One of them is a kid who came into our sober house one day, very small kid, looked super shy, super shaggy, and we had a kid at our house that would cut hair. We brought him in the room. When I went in, someone searched all my stuff, and there's like certain levels, and then there's other people that work for the rehab facility that are there, like a counselor, to watch over the house and disperse medication and all that stuff. So once that all happened, like, I cooked him a meal and we got him a fresh haircut and he showered. Like, these are the things that give you a little bit of hope. A warm meal, a fresh cut, a fresh tea. These are the things that give people hope that they can still feel good. You don't feel good when you're in active addiction. There's no good emotions. There's only high and not high, or sick or not sick. That's it. He finally cracked a smile, which is great. This kid was here. He was in that facility because he lost a bundle of heroin. His mom found it, and then he found mom dead. And I'll never, ever, ever like share names. No shot. No shot, no shot. I should say the recovery community. You remain anonymous, AKA Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, anonymity. That's like the hardest word to say in the literature. But it could always be worse. That didn't happen to me. I didn't lose drugs and come home to find my mother dead. I don't know what the hell I would have done if that happened. And thankfully, I don't know if this is luck or just me being aware or something just subconsciously telling me that, like, hey, you've got to make it through this and bide your time and get through. But I'd never overdosed. I don't know if I came close to overdosing, but like, I never overdosed. I never needed Narcan. I never needed anything like that. Thankfully, I'm blessed for that. All right, so enough with the negatives. Let's do a high point, and not like high like I was high every day, but this is how little I had. I used to dream about riding in my favorite car, which is one of my favorite cars, which is a 2000 or 2001 Nissan Maxima. I just pictured myself driving just with both boys in the back seat. Cameron, Landon, back seat. Dad. I didn't know if I would ever get there again. Thankfully, we did, and we're beyond that at this point. A high point for me was getting the okay to go get better. And the high point for me was making the choice to just go end all of this once and for all. Before you're even like through the detox or rehab or whatever the following months are going to be, there's already a weight lifted when you become ready. That makes sense? Like, you become ready finally, and it's like, okay, we can close this chapter and we can start again, and we can come back a better person. We can become a better person and just get better every day. And I remember that vividly. And I remember at the same time, this is what did it for me. When you're in active addiction and the proposal of rehab or the thoughts of rehab or detox come up, my thought always, my initial thought was always, if I out myself again and tell everybody what I've been doing, they're going to take everything from me. Who am I fooling, man? Like, they know. I'm just admitting at that point, right? So like, if I go to tell mom and dad, hey, mom, I just want to let you know I'm finally ready. The past 3 months I've been whatever. They're like, duh, thanks for admitting it, finally. That's step one, admitting that you're powerless over it. You think that because you're going to go to rehab, you're going to lose everything. Think about that. No, you're actually going to gain everything back if you succeed, And those who give up on you, they give up on you. Those who don't give up on you, like you really know who your friends are and your family when you go through something like that. And this is why I'm so close with my parents, my sister, and now my children, because they brought me to all the meetings. They brought me to work. They picked me up from work. They didn't want to have to do any of this. They raised my son for a while. Again, while I was there, I was never an absentee father. I was just an absentee role model. I was an absentee son. Showing up, giving somebody a kiss, a hug, and hanging out for an hour. That's like success in an addict's mind. And in reality, you're doing nothing, It's nice to stop by and say hello, but what is that doing for the kid? It's almost like more upsetting. And thinking back, it's like I almost wanted to just disappear for however long it was going to take and not be around my kids. And that's pretty much what happened on the last, hurrah, where like I was just over it. I went and disappeared and went under the radar, and I just handled my business. And I think that that's the best way to do it. You can't have distractions. You can't have, your crazy ass girl or crazy ass boyfriend, whoever, calling the rehab 24/7, or these are just things that like hold you down. To actually get clean, in my opinion, friends, family, whoever, like everybody needs to get cut out unless they're support system. If they're not support system, what's their agenda? If you have some chick that didn't talk to you for 3 months and now she's talking to you again, why is she talking to you? Does she want something, or does he want something? Like whatever that looks like. So the high point to me was when I admitted I had a problem. Not so much admitted I had a problem. I admitted I had a problem way before the last hurrah. But handing over the problem to whatever a higher power might be for someone, it doesn't need to be religious. It doesn't need to be God. It doesn't need to be whatever. It's whatever is telling you mentally and spiritually that it's over. A lot of times my higher power was simply my children. And that's why, like right now, I'm on this mission to set my family up. I'm going to grind until I can't grind anymore to set my family up. And if I fail and I fail and I fail and I fail and I fail for the next 20 years, then I'm a failure. But I will not be a happy person working a 9 to 5. I will not be mentally and spiritually where I want to be if I'm a 9 to 5. I've got to be my own boss. I've got to be my own income, because I trust me, my skill set, my ability, what I've built. I trust it more than I trust somebody else's business, a manager, someone, whatever that looks like, just 9 to 5 wise. Now, if my 9 to 5 is paying me off 6 figures, I'm okay with that. But usually as a drug addict, it's hard to find a 6-figure job or get hired for a 6-figure job. The opportunities are out there. If you want to tackle it yourself, we'll offer that opportunity to you. I will offer any addict who is now in recovery the offer to make 6 figures. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to do it. I'm not going to sit here and make promises, but I can offer an opportunity that if you want to come work your absolute butt off and follow my lead and my team's lead, you can make 6 figures for sure. So hit me up there. But I just wanted to share the highs and lows of addiction. If you're struggling, and a little bit of my story I wanted to share, but if you're struggling, guys, please get help. Call me, text me whenever. If you're local, I will literally come pick you up and I will get you somewhere. I will make phone calls for you. I will do whatever you need to do to get to that better spot, because I want people to be able to feel what I feel right now, which is like blessed. Grateful, humble, blessed, and amazing. So I appreciate you guys tuning in. If you're struggling with drugs, if you're struggling mentally, talk about it, guys. It's okay to talk about it. You're a bigger person if you talk about it. You don't need to have all this bravado and, show some strength and talk about it. And then go share with others your strengths and weaknesses, because we need to hear those too. All right. I love you guys. Thank you so much. This is Timeless Talk and Mike DeSecco. Again, if you guys are out here looking for insurance, just let us guide you. We could care less if you buy it through us, but let us guide you. Okay? All right, guys. Thank you so much. Again, we out.